Americans' rights and personal liberties are being trampled on. Earlier this year, when the public expressed their concerns about airports adding full-body scanners that allow them to see your body fully naked, the TSA stated,
"And as an additional precaution, the image won't be stored, transmitted, or printed, and deleted immediately once viewed."
The TSA and other federal agencies flat out lied to the public. The U.S. Marshal Service has now admitted that over 35,000 naked images of Americans from the full-body scanner used at the federal courthouse in Orlando, Florida, have been stored between the months of February and July of this year alone. NIA believes that these full-body scanners are unconstitutional and violate fundamental human rights. The mainstream media has worked tirelessly to calm Americans' privacy fears by showing altered images from these scanners with blocked-out genitals. The truth is, these scanners produce images that make human genitals fully visible, and a simple computer technique of inverting the image produces an image that is in full lifelike color.
One of the things I've learned to hate the most is to travel on airplanes. What a humiliating experience. Everybody's guilty until proven innocent. Now, come on. You think they're going to do the same airplane trick again? How about calling this making a lot of money? It's just another way to make money, intimidate the people, and keep them in control. Look, you go into any office building, and you got to go through this stupid routine of showing your identification, your license, getting the picture taken. Come on. You know, it's not like I just landed on the planet last year.
The rush to install naked body scanners in airports came right after the failed underwear bombing in Detroit, which NIA believes was taken way out of proportion by the media in an effort to help their corporate friends make billions off of the American public. What if, God forbid, there is another isolated terrorist attack in the U.S., but this time at a shopping mall? Will all shopping malls be forced to implement naked body scanners? What about schools, rail stations, bus terminals, and even high-traffic city streets? NIA believes that keeping Americans safe at home should be the primary goal of the U.S. government, but in no way should Homeland Security be used to violate Americans' privacy and constitutional rights. NIA has just learned that if you buy a new Toyota at a dealership in San Diego, the sales transaction is now videotaped in order to satisfy a requirement of Homeland Security, which they claim is to prevent the laundering of drug or terrorist money. If you are driving on a New York State highway and pay your toll with a denomination over $20, the New York State Thruway Authority collector must collect your license plate number and report you to the Department of Homeland Security. These Homeland Security measures are infringing on our rights and not making our country the slightest bit safer. The U.S. today is experiencing a merger of state and corporate power. The average small business owner in America is being squeezed by government, forcing Americans to rely on a select few corporations that have all the wealth and power.
Business is booming at Vernon Hirschberger's farm.
I'll show you.
Customers are lining up in record numbers to get their hands on his raw milk. Illegal raw milk.
We should have the right to choose what types of foods and what types of drinks that we want to put into our bodies.
Wednesday, state inspectors raided the farm with a search warrant.
While serving the warrant, they not only put tags and tape on the coolers inside the store, they came in here where people actually get their raw milk out of a tank, and they poured a dye inside the tank.
A couple of months ago, 20 agents raided Rawson Foods in Ventura County, California with a search warrant, ordering workers to put down their buckets of mashed coconut cream and to step away from the nuts. This was the third time this same farm had been raided in 3 months. Sharon Palmer, owner of Rawson Foods, thought she was on her way to resolving the problem over labeling of her goat cheese after the first 2 raids, but apparently not. It's pretty shocking how the police and district attorney in California have absolutely nothing better to do than harass honest, hard-working farmers who are growing and sharing natural, healthy, organic foods. As part of the raid, Sharon's 12-year-old daughter Jasmine had her computer taken and her homework lost. Jasmine still hasn't received back her computers from the 2 previous raids. All across the U.S., small organic food co-ops are being raided by police with guns drawn. Farmers are being treated no different than cocaine kingpins and are being charged with such things as illegally selling raw milk. These food co-ops are guilty of nothing other than sharing healthy food with people in their local communities. However, they are obviously a threat to the large agricultural corporations that pay off our elected representatives in Washington. Americans need to speak out now to help protect small farmers from the FDA and other government agencies that have been hijacked by the greedy and destructive billion-dollar agricultural giants.
They're putting the people out of business, particularly at a time when people want more organic food. They don't want Auschwitz Farms eggs coming from, I love the names like Sunnydale Farms, Hillendale Farms, chicken coop concentration camps. People want a higher quality, and they know that they're going to erode the profit base of these large corporations that work on very thin margins. So they're putting them out of business. They're making it more and more difficult for them to compete. Competition's all but dead, and they keep killing it more and more.
Every private individual in America deserves to have the basic human right to buy farmland and cows and share their production of food with others. With the government trying to destroy small farmers because they are a threat to the market share of major agricultural corporations, it's a sure sign that a U.S. breakdown of society is imminent. The government claims to be trying to protect our health, but any American with common sense knows that the natural food produced on these small farms is a lot more healthy than the food produced by large corporations that are loaded with artificial preservatives and other unnatural ingredients. The police obviously know they are in the wrong if they have to show up with such excessive force that is clearly unwarranted for the situation. Imagine if one of the workers at the farm was using their thermal laser temperature guns while the raid was taking place. The cops would have most likely shot and killed the worker, knowing full well that no one would hold them accountable for their actions. Illinois Senator Richard Durbin recently introduced a new bill, S-510, the FDA Food Safety Modernization Act. This could be the most dangerous and destructive bill ever introduced in our nation's history. If enacted, it will make it illegal to grow, share, trade, or sell homegrown food. This legislation is so broad that someone with a backyard garden could get fined and have their property seized.
It's written so broadly that they can come and shut us down, and it scares the farmers out here. They may decide it's not worth the risk to lose my land.
This bill seeks to effectively put all U.S. food and farms under the control of the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense. NIA finds it outrageous for something this unconstitutional to even be considered, but it already has a shocking 17 co-sponsors in the U.S. Senate. Most Americans would be shocked to learn that there is already an executive order that allows the government to take over all food resources and farms during a crisis. NIA believes that all executive orders are unconstitutional because it allows the president to enact a law without approval from Congress. According to the U.S. Constitution, if the president wants to pass new laws during a national emergency, he must call Congress into an emergency session. During the Great Depression, Congress enacted the Agricultural Adjustment Act, which paid farmers to destroy their crops in an attempt to artificially raise food prices. This increased the duration of the Great Depression, which would have ended a lot sooner without it. Declining food prices due to technological advances should have allowed Americans to maintain their standard of living even with rapidly falling wages. However, the Agricultural Adjustment Act led to millions of Americans overpaying for food and nearly starving to death. Not only is the merger of state and corporate power destroying the agricultural sector, but it is also sabotaging U.S. healthcare. The American Psychiatric Association is now trying to con Americans with the pushing for the invention of a new mental disorder, healthy eating disorder. That's right. If you are focused on eating healthy foods, the healthcare industry wants to diagnose you with having a disease so that it can sell you dangerous medicines to help cure it. This is similar to how they invented phony mental disorders like ADHD and manic depressive so that they can make billions by poisoning you.
Well, Jim Kaiser turned himself into the 4th Avenue jail today. He believes everything he did was within his rights as a parent, but now he's an accused felon. Ben Kaiser's mom said he has ADHD. A doctor in the courts agreed, so they decided to put him on medicine.
I just can't bring myself to do it.
Dad disagreed.
These drugs, in my opinion, are child abuse. It's just insane. You take a perfectly normal kid and you just wipe him out with these drugs just so he can sit still in school.
Jim Kaiser saw the writing on the wall. Ben's mom was going to get custody, so he took his 9-year-old and disappeared.
Basically dropped off the grid. Apartment found vacant, no more phone calls, no more use of a credit card, nothing.
For 3.5 months, police had no luck tracking them down. A random traffic stop in Florida spoiled Jim's plans. Ben's mom flew to Florida to get him back. She said she plans to keep him on the medicine because it helps.
Isn't it possible that everyone else is right and you're wrong?
No, it's impossible. I know my son better than anybody in the world. I've spent more time with him than anybody in the world, including his mom, and I know him a whole lot better than the courts do.
I know sometimes we may not agree with everything that's happening, but that's the system that we have, and it's the best system that we have to work with right now.
The FDA has brainwashed Americans with the belief that only toxic and poisonous chemicals called prescription drugs can cure anybody of anything, and that no whole plant food or whole food supplement can heal anyone from anything. This is the exact reverse of the truth, yet many brilliant doctors and researchers have had their reputations ruined and their businesses destroyed for daring to help heal people of diseases by something so simple as changing their diets and lifestyles. The FDA does not care about the health of Americans. They care only about the wealth of their corporate friends. In an even bigger abuse of power, the Office of Code of Enforcement in Indianapolis, Indiana, recently called upon their SWAT team as a final move against a property owner who let his grass grow higher than 1 foot. This represents a major infringement on Americans' personal property rights. SWAT teams today have fewer restrictions on conducting forced entry raids than do U.S. forces in Afghanistan. Even more shocking, the city of Philadelphia is now requiring that any resident who runs an internet blog pay a $300 business privilege license fee. One blogger in Philadelphia, Marilyn Bess, recently received a letter from the city demanding that she pay the $300 business privilege license fee to run her Miss Philly organic blog. Miss Bess is currently unemployed, and this personal blog of hers only earns about $50 per year in income. A countless number of cities and municipalities across the country are now cracking down on garage sales. Many towns now require that you pay for a garage sale permit. Some towns even require you to pay an additional fee for a permit to place each garage sale sign. The federal government even recently passed a new law making it a crime to sell recalled products at a garage sale.
Now, the Brewshians were hoping to clear out some clutter and make some much-needed cash this summer. What they don't know is they could be breaking a federal law right now, and this garage sale could potentially end up costing them $15 million. The 2008 Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act was passed to keep dangerous toys from entering the U.S. Now the government says it applies to the sale of used goods, even those at garage sales. Sell recalled items, and you could be fined at up to $100,000 each. Like this pack and play. They could theoretically go under the playpen and get their neck stuck here in this bar. So any pack and play that doesn't have that warning label on it is recalled until they can add that warning label.
We're shocked. We actually returned another one to get this one because this one was like the best one on the market.
I own this same exact product, not knowing that at home, the exact same color and everything.
How do you expect someone just to come in and know? I mean, like I said, I own this piece myself.
Not knowing about recalls won't excuse resellers from penalties, so the CPSC has a 24-page handbook they say makes it easy for them to cross-check their items.